we'll call this workshop to order and go ahead and let Tyler or Jim get started with the item number 1.
Yeah, we're gonna suspend item number 1 to the end
Reorder them.
because this might take a little bit longer than some of the others. So move to item number 2, which is investment of additional funds into LGIP. We have significant money still in both savings accounts at our bank. Our general fund checking has about 1.4 million. Our sewer fund savings has about 538,000. I would like to see us take both of those savings accounts down to 100,000, leave that in the bank and put the rest in LGIP, and we get about 1.25% more interest on it if we move it over. So earn more money. We still have next day access to it if we would need it in the case of an emergency.
Sound like a winner to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll get it done.
So any questions about that? All right. Did we reorder anything else?
No.
So we'll move on. Item number 3 then, code enforcement, Independence Avenue.
This is something Alderman Benstock brought to me, and I'll let him address his concerns, and we'll go from there.
We talked about it, I think, a couple of months ago, and then it seemed to go nowhere. My recommendation would be that we start with the homes that I believe are vacant. I think that and I know it's not a legal word, but I think those are the most egregious. And to start with those, there appear to be 3 of them that are completely.
Do you have the addresses or that can put me down the path of turning this over to code enforcement so we can?
I can get that for you.
Okay.
Which houses do you think is vacant?
There's one with a brick garage and the house is above it. There's another house, as you're facing that house, to the right is the next one. It's way up in the air. Doesn't seem, if it has a driveway, it's hard to tell. And then there's another one on the other side of Independence. But the one with the brick garage and the house above it and the house next to it, I'm not an engineer, but those definitely need to be looked at.
Okay, so the one with the brick garage, he is an older gentleman and he is currently in a nursing home due to health concerns. So I do know about that one. Now if I'm facing that one and to the right, you said there's a steep driveway?
There's a house basically up on the hill, and I can't see where the driveway is.
And there wasn't one for it. There used to be a blue house next to it, and the city tore it down a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
So that house appears to be.
Cost how much?
About 30,000 to tear it down.
That's the one next to the substation?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, that one is vacant.
And then there's one across the street from the brick house.
There's a gentleman that lives in that house.
The one that sits across the creek?
Mm-hmm.
No. Let me get the addresses, and then
Okay.
I'll give them to you,
If you
Jim.
give me the addresses, then I can figure it out from there.
It doesn't appear so.
What could we do after we do get that address and go?
I can put the code enforcement guy to go look and see if it's complying with the property maintenance standards of the town, and then we can go down the path of enforcing the code enforcement side. So.
But just know that the city will never collect money on that unless they ever sell the property, and it's such a not a great location that you're not.
So it's y'all's desire of, as a collective body, what you want the town to look like. If those properties are dilapidated by definition, do you want them cleaned up to make the town look more presentable for people coming in to the gateway of the town? It's your call. I'm not here to tell you yes or no. The answer is it'll insert into the code enforcement process. We'll go through that process and see what we can do to get in compliance. But at the end of the day, if you don't want to go down that road as a collective body, then let's get rid of the property maintenance standard and let's not have standards like that. And that's what I'll say is, if there's a rule, people should be following it. If there's not a rule, then it's the Wild West.
At this point, all I want is maybe to have a code enforcement look and see
There's
Is
nothing
this
open
an
on
issue?
Independence as of right now. I looked that up before I came to the meeting.
So just for the sake of the conversation, it sounds like we just need to get the addresses to you all for code enforcement.
Correct.
And then it's outside of the board hands.
Correct.
We have an established process already, established things to address those type of issues. We need to have physical addresses of the violation or alleged violation, I guess would be the word, to review by code enforcement.
We've had no complaints from the community though, as of right now, because that's why I checked. Is there any open complaints or
Right.
open issues there? That's not one of them. I do have several, but that's not one of them.
Where they are.
Not on
Well,
Independence has none of them.
I'll get you the addresses.
Okay.
And if they say no, it meets compliance, well then fine.
Then we're done and we're
Right.
moving on, so. But I'll look into that with the code enforcement folks and make sure that, now remember, code enforcement is the thing that costs us money that we don't get any redeeming quality from other than community standard hopefully comes up, so.
I understand that, but the thing is, if we don't spend the money, you know,
Right.
it's the broken window theory, you know, one window is
100%,
broken,
I understood.
another one will break.
I do know there was a house there and, the city had to tear it down, it cost us $30,000.
It'll probably cost a lot more in this day and age, but I'll leave it at that. And that, you know, I can't go tear down houses
I know.
until it goes through process.
Yes.
That's why we have the process we have, where people will be served and go through the whole process of cleaning it up themselves, not cleaning it up themselves, and we clean it up. It's unredeemable, it becomes a dilapidated property that requires demolition.
Or what I'm saying, we tore it down, we lost money on it, we didn't.
The brick house is 325.
325, okay, I'll wait till he brings me all of them, cause maybe I'm not sure and I don't wanna,
Yeah,
All right.
so.
So move on to item number 4, traffic concerns for 11W and Independence intersection. This was something that I requested that we add to the agenda to at least have a conversation around. Right now, with the work that's being done on 11W with the paving, it's even more exacerbated. But the turn into Independence Avenue off of 11W is a very dangerous turn.
That's because of the red light down there.
Right, because
Well, no turning lane.
either way, turning and slowing down, coming towards Mount Carmel, slowing down there where there's no turn lane, there's no nothing but that hard turn. And I feel like the traffic that comes through there we have quite a bit of traffic comes through Independence, especially even more with Dollar General being there now.
Mm-hmm.
Being that's a state road on 11W, what does that look like as far as how we could work with the state to try to get that addressed? Because even recently we've had quite a few traffic wrecks there. The fire department's responded to. I spoke with fire chief and he has said it's a pretty common intersection for wrecks.
Mm-hmm.
We'd have to have some kind of traffic study done either by TDOT or somehow. I would assume that'd be step number 1. I did talk to Jason about it, and he said maybe having a red light at Kaywood with turning some traffic away from turning on Independence from 11W might be a better option. But ultimately, if we get a traffic study, somebody will determine where it would be best situated. He was afraid it might be too much bottlenecking, but with
Between
having 2 red lights so
Independence
close with Hammond and Independence. So
This would be
Either-
It's
something,
about the same though that they've done at Allendale, the Allendale light at Netherland Inn and then the light at Lewis Lane,
I would think even a turn lane, if you didn't have a complete red light turn lane.
it is, like you said, that sounds like a great idea, but remember, you're gonna be working with the TDOT,
Right.
It's gonna be a
Right.
political issue because there's dollars have to be allocated and budgets for years ahead, and it's not gonna be a quick thing, I'm afraid.
Right.
But it's something that we need, if you're gonna start it, you need to start it with your elected officials and see how they can help grease the wheels.
Would that be something worth reaching out to TDOT for, to begin that process, or kind of what would that look like?
I would talk to my local representatives before I did anything, see what they suggest, and
Sure.
maybe there's grants and different things around that,
We can
we might get lucky, but I would start there and then,
we can reach out to both.
That's more of an informal thing than
Sure.
it is doing with TDOT, because that's a complicated procedure usually.
And you open the door with TDOT. You never know once you, it's same way with what we had down here coming onto 11W off of Inglewood. That went through a few changes before we eventually had with the two-way, three-way stop. Besides Builder First Source, I know at first it only stopped two directions, and there was quite a few. It was a packed house in here. This was prior to my time being on the board, but you can upset the public very quickly by messing with traffic pattern. So it's just one of those things. Just so we're aware, before you open that box, it's TDOT's decision. We don't have much say in the matter, and we get what we get. Just
the solution they come up with is the solution they'll go with.
Exactly.
It may not be the solution you started out hoping for. So, but again, I would start the political end of it and work in there from there.
Okay.
You can never start too soon. That's for sure.
All of the people that turn at Independence routinely, though, use the breakdown lane as a turn lane, because I'm one of those people. I turn there frequently.
But that's against the law too.
I will never put myself in a position to get hit by somebody going 55 miles an hour that's not paying attention on the highway. So.
And that's the problem. Is some people
Yes.
do, and then people try to miss that person and switch lanes quickly, and we've had wrecks like that. So I think it's definitely.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely something that we need to explore. I've had multiple people email about that intersection for one, and I think we should just look at getting that process started. Does anybody have any more discussion on that part?
Jason, talk to the local folks.
All right. So now we're back at item number 1, or we
had some additional items. If you want to handle those now, or if you want to wait and do the actual items that are on the paper, it's up to you.
Let's go ahead and handle the fines and stuff, and we'll do the new items at the end.
Okay, I've been working on this for quite a while now. What you see on the screen is I did the past 4 resolutions of fees, fines, rates, and everything else. Y'all haven't raised rates or done anything in the last 6 years, and it goes back even further, I'm pretty sure. So in doing this, though, I came to realize that the court fees cannot be addressed through resolution. They are spelled out in our code of ordinances, and a resolution doesn't trump an ordinance. So some of those court costs that you see up there that are less than $77.25 or more than $77.25 are incorrect. So what I'm doing now is I'm going to be addressing the ordinance first. Ordinance obviously requires 2 readings. So the resolution for the rates, fees, and studies that will include the court costs and all the extended costs, I would prefer to push that to next month's meeting because it should be the second reading of the ordinance. Does that make sense? So the first thing I need to do is ask you about the court side, and then we can go into the fines and fees and such. So as I said, $77.25 is what the standard should be. That's what everybody should be getting charged for court costs at this time based on our Title III ordinance in the Code of Ordinances. This breakdown of the spreadsheet here shows you a 6%, an 8%, a 10%, all the way through a 26% increase. 26% addresses the last 6 years of inflationary cost based on the CPIU. So I gave you every option in between. I didn't do it a percentage at a time. I kind of used what little bit of common sense I have to give you hopefully some numbers that make sense. The other part of that is in rewriting the ordinance, we're going to make sure that we address the e-citation side and the technology fees, so we're paying for our computer system for the courts and all of those things, because one of the things that the town cannot continue to do and sustain is we keep spending things that should be sustaining themselves in fees and fines and all that. The other thing I'll say is the fines were all over the place. You went anywhere from $15 to $50. $50 is the maximum. My suggestion to you is to make all of our fines consistent at $50. Leave it there. A majority of communities do it that way. And then we're not playing this, well, if that, it becomes problematic for the court clerk and the judge to kind of figure through that. So I say all that to say, if you look at the increases, on the left side, it's the court cost. So $77.25 with a 6% increase goes to $82. The other part of this is we're going to keep it at whole numbers instead of doing change, and it becomes an accounting nightmare for us. The extended cost is adding all of the other things in, and this is a pretty large spreadsheet, so I apologize that I'm having to go through that. But here is basically what it used to be. So at that rate, that's what it was. But we're supposed to be charging that. So there's a difference of $1. Here's all the differences through. Here we're going to lose $5 because we were charging 86 or 82.25, and that's not acceptable because it's outside of the ordinance. So I say all that to say, here's the differences. The golds are what we're supposed to be. The golds are the fine that I recommend that you go to. The education fee went up to $2. It used to be $1 that came out of the court cost. Now it's $2. So if you look at this as an itemized thing, the state collects a litigation tax of $13.75. The $2 education fee goes back to MTAS to provide court clerk and court judge training, municipal courts. So I say all that to say that's where that all comes from. In the rates and fees reference, you'll see that breakout whenever we're done and you guys choose to go whatever direction you go. If you want to leave it the same, that's fine as well. Whenever that's done though, I will show you the breakout of what that looks like in the rates and resolutions as a reference only. You're not approving anything because it's in the ordinance that way. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So that's this side of that, and I wanted to introduce that first. Does anybody have any questions on anything I said up to this point? Okay. So now I'll get into the nuts and bolts of the percentage. You all can decide whatever direction. As I said, I've gone all the way to the 26% at the end. It would bring our court costs from $77.25 to $97. That's a 26% increase. Now remember, this only impacts people that are violating our ordinances or breaking the law. Don't know how else to say that. So I'm not trying to, make a judgment call here, but it's your call on what you want to see at the end of this. I do have to rewrite the ordinance though.
I would just do the 26%.
Okay. I heard a 26%. Does anybody have a differing opinion, thought, or?
No, I like 26%, especially since it's been over 6 years.
It's been 6 years, and then we won't address it through resolution like you've done in the past for the other side, but it will be referenced. So you'll actually see it, and then we'll keep track of it and hopefully be able to keep you apprised of things. The big thing for Tyler and I is we're trying to build it where it's self-sustaining and you're not supplementing it with general fund dollars. So.
When will you recommend it to go back up next time? Like every 2 years?
I'm not gonna make a value judgment unless it's not paying for itself.
Yeah.
I will keep my finger on that pulse, and as Tyler we'll keep our finger on the pulse to make sure that it's we're not going in arrears and breaking the bank to keep up with.
So what if we, Alderman Cross made a
Yes.
suggestion, but could we not just like go ahead and pad it and do 30% so that way we're ahead of the curve?
You can do whatever you'd like. I didn't build it that way, but it's up to you all. If you want me to explore that, I will.
No.
But I can justify 26% in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I did it.
One question that I would have with that number that you're seeing right there on the spreadsheet, that would just be our actual court cost with it at the 26% mark, correct?
That would be the court cost. That would be the extended cost. That 167 is the extended cost with all of the other, the citation, the technology fee, the educational fee, the litigation tax. Now, there is an opportunity for the local community to charge a litigation tax up to the amount the state charges. I do not recommend we do that. We don't need that. And this isn't a cash grab or a money grab for us. I don't think it's necessary at this time. Doesn't mean that you wouldn't want to entertain that maybe in the future, but it's not a necessary step at this time. So I would recommend against that, just where I sit.
There is no hard and fast rule about your court cost. Basically, if you look at the sheet for the state, they vary widely. All you have to be able to do is show a rational basis for your court cost, which is what he's doing by the inflationary factor. As long as you can do that, it can't be punitive. In other words, you can't say it's going to be $300, folks. Tough luck. That wouldn't hold up. But having those court costs would, from a court cost standpoint, 97 is not out of the ballpark. When you look at the other municipalities around the stuff, it's higher than some of the little local ones, and it's a whole lot lower than Rutledge, of all places. So it's something you folks need to decide how you're going to. As Jim said, this should be a self-sustaining operation. Hopefully, the court costs cover the stipend to the judge, the percentage of time the court clerk is used, the computer system, the record books, the supplies, that type of thing.
Time that's spent in prep for the court, time that's spent in the actual court, all of those things. People coming to the window to pay their tickets, all of those things come into play as I built this, and that's why it's a kind of like nailing Jello.
Just rough math on that. The $97 is, and I understand that right. $97 is what we're at, 26%. If you added another 4% on top of 97, it'd be like around 100, 101. Is that rough math about right?
That sounds about right.
So you're not talking, even if you did go to 30, you're not talking that it would be that drastic of a difference.
If you all are comfortable with 30, I will calculate that and make that the proposal for the ordinance. You tell me what your desire is as a collective body, and I'll execute.
That's fine.
30%.
30% good with you, everybody?
I mean, this is breaking the law, so.
It's meant to be a deterrent.
Are you all comfortable with raising the fines to $50 across the board for everything, as opposed to 15 here and 40 there and 30 there?
I thought it was 50 all the way across.
That's what I did too.
It is not. If you look at the previous resolutions, they contain the fines at all these different levels. So
yeah, I think that's makes sense, and it's per occurrence, not per day type thing, or not a.
Correct. It's per occurrence, unless it's defined as such for a per day. But I don't think we have any of those, other than in the property maintenance code.
I guess that's more property maintenance. I'm thinking of with that. Okay.
Yes. Okay. You're good with not doing the local litigation tax, correct? We also did some conversation with the MTAS court clerk gentleman. In our previous ordinance, we didn't have that the judge needed to be a certified lawyer in the state of Tennessee, so we were going to fix that. We also are changing the age. We had a 25-year-old could have been our court judge, and at 25, you're just basically graduating law school with 0 experience. So moved it up to 30 at his recommendation. So those are just some administrative corrections that were suggested by him. And I think that is it for that. Now let me back up into the rates and resolutions, because I want to have all this spelled out, because they do go part and parcel to one another. Let's see what I said. Once again, rates have not increased. I did not attach anything to this because I don't have a specification. I would suggest that maybe you consider the same thing as you did before. The attorney asked me, and I'll use the first two as an example, the dog cat registration. He thought that was gone.
Yeah, I thought we got rid of it.
I think the board decided
There's-
not to.
There's no a formal action that's been taken to do that. If that's the case, then I
Voted
can,
on
I thought we voted for
I
it.
thought we voted on it too.
not in the time I've been
No,
here.
no.
it. No, I said you, but it was
Okay.
previous.
Okay. It still resides in our code of ordinances book as well. And the problem is when people look up our code of ordinances, the code of ordinances book is what they see. They don't see the
Amendments.
addendum ordinances that were put in. So that's the other thing after I'm done with all of this, and Tyler and I are working on it together, but I'm gonna take that and try and run that so we can get the MTAS process done and get the code of ordinances book updated once and for all.
Okay.
That is a very big task, just so you understand, because there's 4 books in there with ordinances in them since 2010.
Right.
So I have to go through every one of those ordinance books and match up the ordinance rewrite with where it is in the code of ordinances book to make sure that it's referenced and appropriate.
Okay.
So we'll take care of that. Back to this side. So what would you like to see on this side as far as that? And what I can do is I can do the same thing. I add a percentage here, and I didn't put numbers this time because then I was running out of room on the spreadsheet, and you can only do 64,000 calculations, and I feel like I was getting pretty close with this particular spreadsheet, so I wanted to back off and just stop there. So the other thing we don't have is we didn't have a liquor. I duplicated what the liquor with the beer, but I didn't put the privilege tax. And I think that actually is defined by TCA, is it not?
Yes.
Alan?
I'm sorry.
I believe the privilege tax is addressed in this TCA
Yeah, that's the-
57-4-301.
that's where we decided to do a percentage.
Okay.
Inspection
The
fee,
board voted as a
Perfect.
percentage.
Perfect.
which is currently 8%.
Right, so I can spell that out in that rate resolution that will come before you in August. So the ordinance will come in July, first reading. Second reading will be in July, and then I'll bring the rate resolution after that on the agenda, if that's good with you all. Where do you want to go with these? And this covers everything from building permits to everything you see. Peddler's permits, fireworks permits. If you want to keep things the same, tell me that, and I can lock them in where they're at.
So that, I guess that would be some of these would be questions of how are we handling this currently? Because I know I've had people reach out about setting off fireworks, and I thought there was nothing on the books about fireworks or prohibiting fireworks. What would be an example of a firework? Who would have
The fireworks permit is for somebody that would be shooting a show.
shooting
Like-
a show?
Because
They
we
pull
are
the
partnered
permits.
with them,
Gotcha.
they don't pull a fireworks permit
Okay.
here in the town.
Gotcha.
But they pull it with the
But-
state.
Correct, but if they had to pull one here,
Yeah.
it would cost them X amount of dollars.
Example of like local church setting off retail.
A commercial show.
Well, not okay, commercials, but them
I'm
setting
not
off
gonna-
their own little.
Yeah, I'm not gonna get involved in
Accurate.
that.
That's what I was wanting to make sure of, that wasn't going that direction. But as long as if it's just
We
a
don't have
commercial,
anything local ordinance wise that says no fireworks, so I prefer not to get into that business of
Agreed.
policing the fireworks.
No, it's hard to find where it's coming from.
So the animal control fees you can eliminate, as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, so you want to zero them out.
registration, spay neuter, kennel fee.
So small animal trap, large animal deposits, I don't know that we've done any of that. I believe those exist now at the police department, but I don't believe anybody's requested traps from us since I've been here.
It used
And
to,
I've been
but-
here almost a year, so.
Yeah, it was, 3 years ago we did. We
Okay.
kinda got rid of that.
Livestock permit, can you give me an example of what that would be?
They had cows on their property or something.
I believe that's actually exactly what that is, per head.
Do
Alan
we collect
stays.
it currently?
I'm not familiar with that one, but I don't think that's allowed.
That's,
I believe there's.
It's in the code of ordinances,
Well,
so,
yeah.
and it's been
Must be before
consistent.
my
Now,
time.
I I don't know that we've ever taken money,
Yeah.
and maybe we could do something on the financial side to search
Usually
that.
there's all kinds of agricultural protections where you don't
That's-
Yeah.
allow you to do that type of
What
thing.
I
So
thought too.
That's a
So
new
we'll
one.
take that out. So, we'll go ahead and remove that.
And you got the people with the chickens and stuff, I guess, but, you know.
Yeah, what
They're not
else?
livestock. Livestock
That's what I'm
is
saying.
Yeah.
cows, goats,
Horses?
pigs.
Horses,
no.
okay.
Well, horses would
Well,
count
we
as
have,
livestock.
some people got an old house fenced in with electric fence there with horses in it.
There's property with
Yeah,
Yeah,
cattle.
but those are residential.
We're not
We're not
touching,
touching
I'm not
Yeah,
touching that.
I'm not getting into that
Okay.
either, so.
I'm not touching a farmer's cattle if it touches city limits, that's.
A lot of these farms already.
It'd be a great way to have a surprise at City Hall's front door one day.
Yeah, we'll have cows grazing in the front of the
Yeah,
building.
you just never know.
Like I said, normally what you do is you classify that all under, you have nuisance laws, and they would become classified under that. That gives you the flexibility to.
We had a pig one year got loose and
Oh, yeah, I
everything.
remember that.
You remember that?
Yeah.
I mean, we
How
had
big?
all these city employees trying to catch it for days.
It was, in Hammond Estates, it was the
Yeah.
best thing ever.
I caught a longhorn on Independence with another police officer right before Christmas,
Oh,
I
down
think it
there,
was.
yeah.
Yeah, the big longhorns were at, one of them broke the fence, was out on the road. And
In regards to the fees that we're looking at here, if we can scroll down a few clicks to the
We can.
food truck permit fee?
we can.
I don't know, that seems a little steep to me, and
Yeah.
that's,
'Cause we
All
only,
I did was, just so you know, is transfer over whatever it was.
agreed.
You all decide that. I will tell you that I think Kingsport does $150.
we do 100 for our
Initially,
events.
Well, they do $150 initially, and you do an inspection, and you get a sticker. And then every year you're renewed at $50 if you have that sticker. But that way they do the fire inspection, they do the health and safety side, all the things that they're supposed to do.
I thought it was cheap.
We're not a big city like that, so I wouldn't want to get into a multi-year thing. You all decide that. You tell me what you want, and I'll put it up there. I don't have a dog in this fight. I just transferred over what it was.
I don't remember doing 350 that high price for food trucks.
I like 100.
It's been that way for 6 years.
So why don't we make it 150?
You all
We
decide.
don't have too many people that come on public property for food trucks because they do it on, they ask the business for permission to park on theirs. So
They're
they
still
wouldn't
supposed
even,
to have a permit.
When did we do
That's
that
just
food
it, though,
truck
and that's
thing?
where I'm
Like,
like-
didn't we?
If you have, like, for example, the 4th of July, you had 12 different food trucks out there for that, right? By the definition of this, each one of them, if we left it the same, each one of them should have paid a $350 permit fee. Then the fee that they paid towards the
to be in
event.
the, yeah.
Yeah, that was.
Which I'm
what
like,
they-
that's a $450. That's a substantial. That's a deterrent to do business in Mount Carmel, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Just
that's
as
what it was
blanket.
for the block party.
Like, I don't think it. I think even 150 is steep.
I think 150 is high.
I heard 150 and I heard 100.
We've just from experience from the events that we've had, we've never charged a food truck more than $100 to
But
get them
that-
to come in here.
But that's even here. We're saying any food truck that's going to
Oh,
come
yeah.
in the city is going to have to pay this fee before they set up. Most of them. Give me just a second right now because I'm going somewhere on this. Most of them they're required to already have a state permit, so they've already had an inspection with the state. And I think anybody who wants to say that we're business friendly and trying to promote people to come in here for business, any fee, in my opinion, or at the bare minimum of like a $25 fee or something, just to be registered with City Hall. So we've got your state permit number, we've got your fire number, we have a little bit of information from you. Go forth and sell in the city because we don't want to be a deterrent to someone. Because you've seen the look like what was the one we've had, the cheesesteak place, right?
Bill's cheesesteak.
No, Easttown cheesesteak. They're a restaurant front now. They're not in the food truck.
Yeah,
They have
they're
a
a
storefront,
restaurant. They're a restaurant.
brick and mortar business now. So I don't want to do anything that's going to prohibit some of these businesses from coming into town to do business because you never know when that might attach as a storefront. And now I'm done with that.
But I can tell you it came from. It came from when they put the power post on the fence. They charged that much to offset the price for that. That's when they did that. I
can see
remember
that.
that now.
I could see that. Now that makes a sense of why it'd be so high. But
Yeah.
from where we're at now
Now
as
it's
a
paid for.
position, That's paid for. The
Yeah.
times when they do use the power is so minimal because most of them have generators anyway.
Yeah,
So I would think that making that fee closer to like a $25, be registered at City Hall, make sure we have your insurance information, fire information, just a simple brief form would be all we would need of that.
That's something for the board to then to consider at the next meeting, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I don't wanna seem like we're setting a rate at this time.
They're not, but they're giving me clear direction as the
That's
majority,
good. We
so
get the
that's what I'm
range
looking for, is where do I go with this? And you all tell me, cause it's been a difference from 150 to 100 to, and she talked about the fact that that's what you charge. So, you know, that's the other part of this is when there's events that go on, a lot of times the food trucks are charged by the event organizer on top of whatever they had to pay to the town, city that they're in.
This to me just says how business friendly do you want to be for food trucks to do business in your town? It's just that. This is the number of what we've got to find. How friendly do you want to be for food trucks doing business? And I personally think that just enough for us to have information on file with who they are at City Hall for liability reasons and legal purposes is sufficient.
I agree with you.
Yeah, knowing that they would have to pay that fee in order to be here, even with our own events.
But I mean, that's something if you know if there is a range on it, we can vote that, amend it the night of, whenever we pass that. We can always, you know.
I'm trying to build a pretty comprehensive thing here though, so it's
I would-
not something I can
agree
do on the
with John
fly.
with 25 after having it explained like that.
I just want to make sure we're the message that we're sending to people out in the businesses looking to invest, whether that be from the small scale with somebody doing a food truck to big scale, is that we're as business friendly as we can be. We want you to come invest in our town.
And we want our citizens to have an option to go to a food truck, try different foods.
I think 100 to 150 be the max, I think would be sufficient. You know, if you had a food truck, it'd take you a long time to make $350.
I'm not arguing that point. We're not stuck at 350.
If
I
it's
think
up-
we're back
Depending on the
to,
event too, because, I mean, it could not be us doing it because we have the facility use, so anyone can come in here and have an event and have food trucks and charge them whatever they're charging. If they're not in the system, then they're paying this, so if we had $150 and say somebody come in here and had an event and they were charging the food trucks $200, then, and they're not in the system, they're paying out $300, well, they might not make $300
Correct.
that day.
When y'all had it for the employees, did they have to pay $350 for that?
we did not. So here's the other part of this is all of these fees, fines and such require an enforcement arm. It's why many cities went to the sticker system.
Yeah.
Here's your 2025 sticker for the town of Mount Carmel. You go anywhere in the town,
Right.
if they're out at it or the fire chief's out at it, he'll see that sticker and go, hey, they're good.
I like it out there. I like that.
So we can get to that place. I understand the mayor's desire to make sure that we're business friendly, and that makes sense to me. Like I said, I don't have a dog in this race, and certainly didn't come up with $350 because everywhere I've ever been has never been that high. I saw that and I almost had a heart attack.
I
But
wouldn't have a heart attack.
Here would be another question too on the way a more reasonable way of calculating the permit fee. If we figured out how much it would cost actually, if we want to do a sticker system where we have an annual sticker, it's good for a year. Figure out the cost of that, what that sticker looks like to get costs printed.
they're cheap.
Minimal. I
They're
know.
very cheap.
Figure out what would the time frame take administratively for this person at City Hall to register it. What would it take for the fire chief to review it administratively, time wise? If it's 15 minutes or so, then we figure out a dollar figure for 15 minutes of labor of each, and that's our fee. I mean, we're not looking for it to make money. It's more just to cover administrative costs of the labor aspect of it. But I can't see that being more than $50.
So $30 would cover a half hour of Mitch's time, I think, and the sticker cost easily.
So
So-
that's
50 then.
50. I could get on board closer to 50. Yeah,
And that's the sticker, you know, they're up to code and everything too.
Yes.
good for a year.
Well, because Mitch will be signing
Yeah.
off and handing those out. My goal would be, that's one of my
Yeah.
goals with having the fire chief, is now I have an accountability system in
Yeah.
place
Right.
and he'll take care of that.
I like it out there.
So I hear 50. Is there anybody that has a general consensus?
I don't know, 50 seems high to me for all that. I mean, this is just a bureaucratic step.
Well, it was $350.
I understand.
So if
that.
we enforced it today, it's $350.
Yeah, but I think that's absurd.
But you look at an average plate, if somebody buys somebody, you look at $10 to $12, one plate, 5 people, I'll pay for it $50.
Think about their overhead. So I'll say all that to say, you know, you all determine where you want to go, but when they build their food truck, they build it on overhead, and it costs them money in stock, rolling the truck, gas, generator, and their time.
Yeah.
So I say all that to say, you know, 50, 30, however, I wouldn't go less than 30, and the reason is that'll cover the hourly rate for when it's a complex system. You've got somebody with a ventilation system or a fire suppression system inside their trucks, because there are trucks out there that have that.
Yeah.
That's complicated, and it's going to take much longer than a half hour to do that.
I mean, we could go 50, just like the fines. This airplane.
But also, my argument to that would be that the state's already done that.
Correct.
The state's already inspected them for the year and given them that sticker of approval too. So
State doesn't give stickers.
the state's given their permit.
Yes.
For their annual. So
Yep.
they've given their permit and signed off on it. So it's not something that I would think we should.
And do they bring the
too
permit
heavily
here so you
invested
can look at
into.
it before you get the sticker?
Yeah.
My desire would be you show up with your state authorization and state approval, and now I'll do the local approval and we're good to go.
Yeah.
And
Because
they
the
just-
state's not checking for fire safety,
No.
they're basically checking for health and,
And then
Well,
documenting their insurance
yes.
just to have it on file.
Well, we can do that through an application system, and I
Yeah.
think that's the easiest way
Absolutely.
to record and report that.
I mean, I'm much closer to being on board. I can be on board with 50 much more than I could be even 150.
Okay,
I think 50 is fine, 50.
okay. So 50 is good for y'all.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Everything else that we've gone through so far is good.
Need to look at
Impounded vehicle storage. I want to go back up and cover the things. That way, I'm going to color code this, so when I go back, I look at this, I know what I'm doing. We already got through this whole thing with the beer and the liquor, correct? You guys are
didn't
comfortable
discuss-
with those?
Yes.
What?
We did not discuss those at length, but the application fee is where we have room. We could,
Okay.
especially with the liquor side, we're gonna have new applications.
I agree with that, with on the liquor side, because you have to think that's just a one-time expense for the liquor store. Do we have any idea of what local municipal areas charge for application fees?
Alan and I discussed it. He said there's some places closer to 300. But your suggestion was get that while you can when they first apply, because that's a golden opportunity to, you know.
What is that, is there any requirements on that money, where that has to go, or just goes to general fund?
It's just
General
budgeted
Totally
as
unrestricted money, general fund item, okay.
So do you all want to raise that application fee?
And this is liquor and beer, or just beer, on your recommended?
This was modeled after the beer. The beer was $250, and so we thought $250 to $300 would be for the liquor.
Okay.
Pricier, but I said $300. The liquor is gonna be able to sell both beer and liquor, so you're getting a broader stock.
Closer to 5, but.
So this is just a one-time fee when they open it
Because the
up.
liquor, we're only gonna get some.
Their initial
bites of those.
application.
Right.
Yeah.
Once we have a liquor store, there's not gonna be a mad rush on liquor.
They'll probably spend more than that for the state then.
and we've had
State
one
probably-
application.
We've had one already.
It's under, of course, under the old rule, because that's when they applied, but.
Yeah.
Just do 500 then,
I think 500 one-time fee.
yeah,
I don't think that's that egregious for a liquor license and both, is that?
no.
Do we have a consensus of 500?
I think
Is
so.
anybody not comfortable with 500 and have a different alternative?
I guess my question is, why do you want to jack it up to 500?
It's a one-time application fee. it's designed to cover administrative fees and everything else for what we have to do, because we have to make sure it's zone compatible and all that. So it's not like it's just a cursory thing when they turn in an application, we stamp it and send them on their way. There's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes. The intent of an application fee is for all of that to be paid for. So
Because I have to touch it.
I have to touch it.
Jim, one of the front office, police chief, and the attorney. all
And one of
four.
us has to sign off
Yeah.
on it. too?
Correct. It has to come before the board and for the
So-
final
There's a lot of moving
approvals.
pieces.
Yeah,
Yes.
there's, so,
Everybody gets a little piece of it.
Correct.
That's still a lot of cash.
They're opening a
You
liquor
don't wanna be.
They're making Yeah, they're making no money.
They could be open for 25 years and they'll pay that one
It's not
time.
like the food trucker, I mean.
Yep.
and
I like
as
how
already
you
been
do
said,
this.
we've got the, one application already in under the existing fee
Oh, they
schedule.
will.
Do you hear me? What you
If that
doing?
application comes all the way through, we likely won't see that many more applications.
Yes, I can read it now.
I don't think you will.
See it
You
now?
Yes.
So this is really kind of a mute thing to argue almost, because it's,
said you've got the one.
It sets us up so we're not running around going, what do we do?
Right.
Where do we handle this? Because we had to make it up on the fly with the first application.
no, I totally understand why we have it in there. I just mean, as far as like actual, is it 300, 400, 500, what number are we gonna fall on? Like, we're not gonna see a rush on applications.
You may get one more.
Right.
And then we
Do we have to disclose that we've already, well, I know we're a public meeting that's obviously recorded, but, is that something when somebody comes in and applies that we disclose we've already received an application, or we just sign it, take it, say thank you,
I don't
and,
think there's any requirement to know.
okay,
It's not a complete application, but
understood.
it's 95% complete.
We talked about, we'll probably farm the responsibility of having the TBI check and the criminal background off to the applicant.
We've-
Let them incur the fees instead of us trying to run it through, for them.
As we
Try to
said,
work with
is
them.
that how they handle the beer permits in the county is that way, or they run those in-house?
I don't know if I'm not sure, but I can't see any reason not to run them outside, you know, that's,
The application.
otherwise you're the person holding things up if it doesn't come back.
The application that the firm drafted for us to use says that they are responsible for their own background check.
That's the ordinance, that's it.
Yeah,
Okay.
so we're in the ordinance.
Sign permit, what's that?
Well, let's go in order here, because
Okay.
you guys keep bouncing around and it's not we're never
Well,
gonna
I
get
can
done
see,
that
I
way.
can see now you got blown up or.
Yeah. So, we're to storage unless you are still wanting to talk about the alcohol and such.
No.
All right, the storage fee was 25, it's still 25.
It's up per day.
That's per day.
Where
Is
do
that,
we even store that?
Impounded vehicles.
do we charge that, or what are we charged for that? Because do we store them locally, or is this
We're,
what's,
we're storing them at Jason's place, correct? Yeah.
is 50?
We don't have a plethora of vehicles, so we haven't run into a time where we
Is
needed to go
50
outside.
egregious, Alan? Is that, just think, Dublin, that's
No, put your car in a tow yard.
that's what I was thinking.
Wow.
It's almost 100.
Yes, it is.
Tow yard?
$50 a day is a going rate now.
How often do we impound cars?
Depends.
But there's also other variables that you may be seeing with the recent action that we've taken, that may be something that we have more of.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Is 50 a good number for the
Yes.
majority of you?
yes.
Is that-
Anybody not?
Is that per day or just?
Per day.
Per day.
Okay.
Peddler's permit, that's the people that go, we actually just had one of those come into the office. That's the people that go door to door and sell and do all that
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
So,
Whereas that's high as you can get. They aggravate me to death.
oh my word. So it's been $20 probably since the beginning of time,
Yeah, we need to
so
go up there.
y'all decide and
I don't have that problem. I can tell them where to go.
Or put a no solicitor sign on your door.
Yeah, I think
Meat
that's,
shop, truck with meat meat on it. They try to sell
Good.
meat a lot.
is that a good number or is
I
that
don't
not a
have
good
problem with
number?
it.
Yeah,
That's fine.
Fireworks,
No problem with that.
return check fee,
45.
bank,
Is that the standard?
My recommendation would be 50.
50.
Do it.
It's a hassle.
Yeah.
Anybody against 50?
Nope.
I can't tell you what subdivision zoning book is, and I can't tell you what $6 covers. I believe it's somebody making a copy of
their code.
a subdivision zoning book page for them.
Do
So
we have those zoning books on here?
I believe they're up in storage now, so the answer is
9 times out
probably
of 10,
not.
they'll go to the county clerk and get it.
But don't they still gotta obey regular city laws, don't they? I mean,
What's that?
the subdivision law, I mean, is that the zoning?
Subdivision zoning
That's all they're
book.
doing is pretty much getting a copy of their restrictions or something.
Yeah,
Yes.
but their restrictions, they can't really do nothing unless it's the HOA, is it?
No, there's covenants that go into all neighborhoods, basically.
Well, but it would have to be the person that put it into effect that
Yes.
takes the charge on it, and, you know,
It's real.
some of them just aren't around anymore, so.
Where I'm a little bit, they had restrictions there, but people don't even obey them now. They got metal roofs and everything now.
Well,
And they said we gotta obey the city laws, not we have to have an HOA that was years ago.
Well, the city will always trump an HOA
Yeah.
with our ordinances and rules. But the answer is, if there's an HOA, they can have rules as long as they're not in conflict with local
Yeah.
ordinance.
now
and-
you're talking about like your neighborhood restrictions. When Alan Webb, he would have had to, when he passed away, he would have have had an heir to take over those, the guidance of those restrictions. So anybody in the States could essentially do whatever they want now.
I know
because
when
of
first time
subdivisions.
home, when they first sold houses there, it was, your utility barn, you gotta be painted same color of the house.
Right.
But since now the houses has been resold, I don't know how many times, and people don't even obey that stuff no more. A
Is
lot of
everybody
people
good
don't
with
even know it.
$6 for this, so we can keep
Yeah.
moving, or
Yeah.
we're never gonna get out of here? Sorry.
No, you're good.
Sexual offender permit fee, I don't know that we've ever collected that, but we should be. If we have
That's if
sexual
they have to
offenders.
register.
Correct. So,
I thought it was Hawkins County, sure.
well, we don't need it in our rate resolution if it's just Hawkins County. It should be coming to the town for all of these things. Sign permit, I don't see any reason to.
We don't keep up with the database with that though, for the city, do we?
Sexual offender permit fee,
I think it's Hawkins County.
I don't have a clue.
Sure it's
No.
Hawkins.
We were jacking
But
up
if we
to-
have a permitting fee, then it becomes a responsibility of the police chief to have that. So I don't know that David knows that yet. So I can have that conversation with him. Because, you know, people moving into the town have an obligation to notify if they're required.
I know before, every time that somebody's come to notify us, the old chief and the other administration would send them to Hawkins County. So I don't
Okay.
have one.
Yeah, I don't know. Sewer fees, I'm not suggesting we raise anything. We do have a call next week, the mayor and Tyler and I, so we'll be talking about some things after that, I'm pretty sure. I'm not recommending that we increase the tap fee. It is in the ordinance and the resolutions before that the tap fee is a minimum up to the actual cost. Apparently there was some confusion in the office here over the years where the application didn't reflect that. The application now reflects that. So I feel comfortable being able to recover and not be in that place. So, and y'all raised it to 3,500 at the 23-624 resolution for that anyway. So
Under the sewer, or anything for the grinder pumps, the people.
Off top of his head.
I'm not able to go into that right now.
Okay.
So
624.
all of these were
Okay.
set before. I know septic trucks are a lot more than $20. So it's more like $150 for a septic truck now for a pump truck. So I don't.
Okay, not comment on another thing when you're finished with that.
Okay.
The accounting fee, that's a
Yes.
one-time fee that we charge when somebody switches addresses or signs up for sewer. That's to cover the billing side of what we pay First Utility. They charge us $1 per bill per month.
It's always been, like, anytime somebody moves in or
Right.
whatever, it has to pay that.
So that $60 is supposed to cover your lifetime of fees, which is $1 per month. That covers you about 5 years.
5 years. And now we're paying for it after 5 years.
It would, if there's room there to make some changes that might bode well overall for our sewer finances. The more that we're able to do besides just raising rates to raise revenue will look favorable for the state when they ask us what we've done to.
Because that's
Make
also
changes.
not, you gotta look at it too, that's not affecting anybody here that's your existing
Right,
homeowners.
It's all new people.
It would be new people or people buying and moving in, but I mean, it's not, that's a way to recoup some of those costs, as Tyler was saying, without it affecting the people that have been paying into the system for the last 20 years. So what's your recommendation, doubling that?
I mean, if you double it, you cover about 10 years worth of billing. So that's, I mean, I don't know what the average lifespan of somebody who keeps a sewer account, but people move frequently. So
People move on average every 5 to 7 years.
So making it $100, like
100 or 120, I mean.
what's
I just do 120.
It's 120 a consensus?
Yep.
All right. Dry tap fee, that's been what it is, and basically that's somebody that gets a tap and doesn't connect. Whether they're building or whatever, they're speculating on their property. Unmetered well fee. That's been in place for a long time. Back to the septic trucks.
Is this if somebody's having their septic tank pumped?
Yes.
I didn't know they had to have a permit to have somebody pump their septic tank.
Yeah, the septic trucks are supposed to be permitted. So.
Good, could you imagine? Does the homeowner have to pay that or the septic people? Because they're already paying for somebody to come out and pump their.
Well, remember, we have holding tanks and grinder pumps at every house too, basically. That septic truck could end up at that line because there's a blockage or something like that. That's one of the things that they come. It's not just a septic tank that they pump. They actually pump off the lines.
She's not talking about for the people that have septic or have
sewer.
that have non-sewer.
At our house.
That have just septic.
Right.
You're not talking about that.
No.
So this is like when we've had instances of people abusing the septic
This
system.
is pump trucks. This is vacuum trucks that are coming out.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I.
Is that enough then? Is the question. I would ask.
I don't feel like it is.
What would be the recommendation?
150.
Yeah,
Cost 150.
it's up to expense for the rent.
Because that's more from abuse and negligence and those type of
Correct.
things.
Correct.
Yeah, I almost said flush needles, that's the opposite.
Pool fill and tap off isn't something that you all worry about.
So
I've had the fire departments.
what would be an
Long
example of an unmetered well?
Say that one more time.
The unmetered well fee.
That's when people have wells that don't run through a municipal system. And for example, they may be hooked to city sewer, but they may have had a well providing water to their home. There's people in town that have that. I don't know where specifically, but I'm pretty sure some of the homes around the Carter's Valley area have well before they had water.
Yeah, I need the older house.
Oh, there's one like right above my previous house that was well that converted to city.
Yep. But if they don't, it's an unmetered well fee. That's what they're saying is you have a well on your property, it's an unmetered well fee, that's what you're paying. You're not on municipal water. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I just didn't know those even existed anymore in my
Pool, that'd
opinion.
be more water department, wouldn't it?
All right, now we're shifting into the building department. So these have all been consistent over time, but this is all of the last 23's numbers here. I'm not trying to discourage people from building in this town, but I will tell you that our fees are not covering the cost of Safe Build running the service for us. So,
How much new construction do we even have going on?
not a lot,
'Cause we're almost
but you
out
wouldn't
of it.
believe that for the amount of money I pay Safe Build a month.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where the code enforcement side comes in too, because they charge us for that side as well. So,
Do they drive around town and see people building or something and find them that way, or if they're not, they don't have a
if they didn't get a permit, yes.
He does
Yes,
that.
we have done that and had that happen quite frequently.
I know a lot of people, when they replace their decks, they don't even think about getting a permit, they just go lumber yard and get their money, their
Yep.
wood and.
Yep. I did a review of our local jurisdictions. We're pretty consistent with our local jurisdictions that neighbor us. You do have some wiggle room, in my opinion, for the per square foot of living space on the residential and all that. But it's all in where you guys want to go and what you want to do. The other part is it's broken up into buckets, for lack of a better term. 1 to 5,000 for remodeling purposes, and above 5,000 up to this, and so you've got a lot of opportunity to understand this. I don't know how many of you have been involved in this.
I'm kind of looking at Mindy there, letting her.
I mean, and to me, it's insane to have somebody have to pay a permit per the square footage of their home in regards to remodeling. Because you're going to have people come in here and just say, well, I'm doing under X amount of square foot, and unless you're going in there and measuring their property, you're not going to know if they're telling you the truth or not. And building it anymore is just expensive as hell.
So remodeling is not a per. If you look at it, it's $50 for the first 1,000 of $1 to $5,000 of cost. Materials and labor.
Right.
It's got nothing to do with size of the project. It's got to do with cost of the project, and then it goes based on that. So that's what the permit fee is.
I see this. I work with an investor that flips, a crap ton of properties every year and builds. And working with investors, they are deterring from going and working in municipalities that are raising their rates because their costs are already going up essentially, and they're not recouping the profits that they had. So like Johnson City, there are investors that are deterring from going down there because their fees are going up. Bristol the same. So we don't have a whole lot of remodel and new construction that goes on in Mount Carmel. So
you want it built to standard though, and that's
Yes.
one of the problems when you
that
don't
has to
pull
go.
permits. But when you don't pull permits and you don't have credible contractors, because that is part of the problem. That's the reason why these types
building
of
a house
things are in
is
place.
different because you have to have the
Even
state
remodeling.
look whenever you're, depending on what you're doing, remodeling inside the house.
Saying,
If you're not dealing with the roof or the
Nothing
HVAC
structural.
or the plumbing, right, nothing structural, then,
It's like
to me, you're not having anybody come in and inspect anyway. If I'm replacing the drywall in my house, I ain't having an inspector come in and look behind me.
But
Because you have, every contractor is different on how they do things.
But if you're flipping the house there, the person's gonna be buying it, you want to make sure it's done right.
But that's on the
That's
buyer
not-
to do
that's-
their due
yeah, that's-
diligence.
that's
too.
not for the town to
Yeah,
worry
that's
about.
fine.
Yeah.
So as far as, the biggest thing I think we're gonna look at too is making sure that we're staying cash neutral on or as close to neutral as we can be with Safe Built. Because of we don't want to be going into the hole paying for that for the little construction that we have. So that's something that we're going to look at, try to make this balance out between what we're collecting on fees and what we're spending to Safe Built. What's your recommendation on that? What gets us closer to balancing that number?
In all of the ciphering that I've done, I can't get that to you because it's not an exact science.
Sure.
And I say that because there's a split for Safe Built in the fact that they bill us for everything together. There's not a split out of this is a code enforcement issue versus a building issue.
They don't itemize it?
No, but it's itemized that they provided the services, but the same person's doing two things. So they may be in town to do two things. They're not double billing us, but they're billing us for half of the time at this and half of the time at that, and they don't break it out that way. So it's not easy for me to go back and kind of make sense of that
It's about $7,000 a month.
a month.
On that one you got on there,
Which one?
trying to get my eyes focused on one, building on a slab. Do we have that going on in Mount Carmel? You building on a slab, you running your plumbing under the slab?
We don't have
or
any
in the
house
slab?
on slabs in Mount Carmel that they're most have a crawl space.
What I'm saying, we don't want to price ourselves out of the market.
But you don't.
If we start raising.
I'm good with
rates,
leaving it as it is, but I want you to understand we are going into a negative that I'm gonna have to figure out at some point. maybe
But
now
is
it's
it
not
in-
the time to address the building side, and I'm good with that conversation. You all tell me what you wanna do collectively and we can move past that. I don't wanna spend, an hour going over this and arguing over every fine point.
I just think it's good the way it is, cause we need to get people to come in here and build. If you start raising the rates, they're not gonna come in here.
Well, we
At
don't
one
have a lot of
time-
We don't
space
have
to
a
build
whole lot of
on.
space left.
At
to
one
build.
time, they said the builders coming in here didn't have to pay the fees, get a building permit.
That was a-
Joan
That's
was
been
For a
a
while
few years
they were-
ago, and
That's when Vince was still here.
that's
Yeah,
been probably
Rick
5
Jones
years
was
ago
mayor,
it was going
dropped
on,
that.
6.
I got a question.
But I think we're
You
good
talking about
right there.
Safeco charged us like 9,000, and I know it's hard to find somebody to be a building inspector like we had there, but will there ever be an option, you think, to?
I don't think that our
I'm here-
I don't think our needs drive the fact that we can afford that.
Okay,
I don't think that, but here's the problem, so like, you can't take somebody right out of school and make them a building
I understand,
inspector.
yeah.
They have to have the background in plumbing,
They have-
mechanical,
They have to be licensed in
construction.
all.
Exactly, and I can't just take anybody and do
Oh, I know,
that.
it'd be hard to get, but I'm
So-
just hearing the fees, what they're charging us
Yeah,
all for that.
as far as that goes, the answer is by the time I built a salary and benefits and all those things, we'd be paying more.
Okay, that's all I wanted to
Is
know.
my opinion.
So
Okay.
that's one thing too, Darby, that I have had a few conversations with some other local municipalities, because everybody's in this boat,
Yeah,
especially after Vince passed away. Everybody used Vince, everybody's in this boat. And there are going to be some conversations in the future to see what a number might look like for a joint venture between a few of us in having that employee,
okay,
where they might work for the three or four different municipalities. That conversation is still at the infant stages, but some of the other mayors have reached out because that's how we're handling with it, because they're having the same problem.
okay.
And Safe Built's only going to work for so many people, so it's
Right.
we're going to continue those conversations, see what that number might look like, depending on who's willing to, because the state has formulas out there that'll basically tell us what that share of the money looks like. But that's hopefully something we'll have in the next few months, kind of some more ideas on that.
But
Okay.
out of the 7,000 that we get billed, I mean, how much is it is related to flipping and remodeling versus somebody didn't mow their
As
yard?
I said, I can't put my finger on that because it's not itemized as a broken out. This is code enforcement, this is people with overgrown grass and blah, 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 so I'm following up in this town. Or it's a code enforcement issue because the person built a deck without permitting, so now they've gone back and they permit them. We charge double the permit fee. Have we done that? The answer is yes, we have, where they've found it. Where they haven't found it, no harm, no foul, they're moving on. They have an unpermitted deck now though. So if you get caught with that, you gotta tear it out.
Yeah, but no, I mean, if you're gonna.
Nobody's tearing them
nobody
out.
cares.
No.
I mean,
Or even
oh,
if
yeah.
your files, a higher one, somebody gets hurt, that's a bigger lawsuit then.
So for the
Yeah,
sake
but-
of the numbers, does anybody have any suggestions, or we're going to move on and leave it as is?
I think it's fine just the way it is.
Does anybody have a different opinion?
All right, we'll leave that as is and move on.
Okay. Planning Commission, these were all consistent for the last 4 cycles of your process. I haven't heard anything from the Planning Commission or the planner where.
We hadn't had a meeting this year yet.
Yeah, so I don't believe that there's any need to adjust or change any of that. I asked Jason to update some of these numbers for me. They're the best guesses right now. I looked at FEMA rates, we're in line with FEMA rates. FEMA reimbursement rates, I don't know if you're all familiar with that, but if you get a storm or something like that, that's what FEMA uses to reimburse the community for activities. Our charges on here and then the charges down here are consistent with what FEMA has looked at as
That's where
well.
like if FEMA comes in there, but if we came out and just helped somebody clean up without.
We can charge the same thing, but now we've got it spelled out. So like, I'll use this as an example. Somebody's property washes out into the road and Jason has to go clean it up.
Okay.
Jason has the ability to bill back the property owner for all of the time spent in that process.
Okay.
That's what this basically says. Or if we were to do the demolition of a house ourselves as opposed to hiring a demolition crew, there's opportunity there.
Okay.
Unsafe building fees, same as it was before. So I believe you said it was 30,000 that you had to pay to have that house demolished.
I think that's what it is.
So, yeah. So there's a $300 unsafe building fee, and then it should be up to the actual cost.
Yeah.
So the town could put liens on properties. If you have to go and demolish a property, you should be able to lien that house or lien that property, and, you know,
And
certainly
have it-
the town doesn't want to be in the business of, we don't want to be a real estate,
No. And most of these old
process.
houses on hillsides anyway, there's not much land to it.
Yeah, so. And with that said, I'm done. That's the end of it, unsafe building side. So I will put this all together. It'll look much cleaner in a resolution and ordinance for y'all. Look for the rate fee stuff in the August meeting, as I said, and I'll bring it up at the workshop. That way you'll see what the clean copy looks like. And, we're good to go. Thank you for that. And I'm done with this, unless anybody has questions or additional.
Can we do something like the MTS rules the towns got, something like this? Like all the rules the towns has, the laws and stuff, can we do something like that with that? You know, some of them is old laws and stuff, and we don't even do no more. Can we kind of do something like this, just go, the whole group looks at what we could change back? So you go to MTS.
What are you asking me? I'm sorry.
I think what he's asking, he's looking to get like the reconciliation
Yes.
where there's some stuff in the old, and that's what he originally said, that that's the purpose of doing some of this. Is that they're going to go through and remove the stuff that's not, doesn't apply anymore, that's been changed, put the new ordinances in and update it so that it's more cohesive. Because if you go look it up, it's an old document.
Yes.
That's what he's asking. So that's what, Jim said at the beginning.
Before I'm
Start
done, I would prefer not to bring you to the room when I'm not prepared to do it.
Okay.
So if you give me a second to go through the title sections and kind of sort through that and
Yeah.
do what we're
Have
doing,
the draft.
then we can do that.
Okay.
So the answer is absolutely, and my intention would be to bring it to you all because you're the ones that enact the ordinances and codify.
Well, I thought this was a great idea there, how you done this.
Thank you. And with
I
that,
think this was a worthy investment too. I know it's off my
It is.
agenda, but that was a worthy investment to be able to have these screens to see, be able to record and do all that. It looks so much more professional in here.
I'm sorry I did a spreadsheet that probably made your eyes bleed for a little while, but
It
we'll
was
try and
nice.
fix that in the future.
It was nice.
All right, so we've got
Cheaper than
any other questions on regards to the fees? So we'll move on to the other two items that aren't listed.
Alderman Gillum brought 2 items to me he'd like to address.
I'm gonna put it off until next one, but I gotta run.
Okay.
All right.
I
Well,
didn't
you
know I was
ran
gonna be tied up with this.
Fair enough.
All right. Any other questions, concerns? Any other thing going on? We'll adjourn.